order at 5. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of September 7th. You two have to vote on the approval of those because I wasn't here.
Yeah, I had read, Tommy, I had read them, and I think I had a couple of things that Kerry changed. Have you get a chance to read those minutes from that meeting?
I just signed them. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
We never actually voted to approve them, so I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay. Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now the minutes of this last meeing, Tommy, you weren't here, so did you have a chance to read those?
Yeah, I did. The only things I had were the same things you did about Tommy being mentioned and not being here. So
Okay.
I'm good with the way they are. I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll sign that one.
Wayne, that bill from the ARPA for the truck, we gonna have that soon? Or-
Yeah.
It's here. Oh, it's here.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
You just signed it, I think.
I saw it on the bill. I just didn't know if it.
Yeah, they allowed me, they said that I was on their net thing, so hopefully town hall pays them promptly or.
Yeah, that's the one I seen driving around, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll sign on the warrants, abatements. There wasn't any abatements at all.
There's one, just the town hall bill. Should be in there.
Oh, down, those are both sets of minutes. I didn't see an abatement.
I didn't see any abatements. I didn't know if it was just on the list on the agenda just to cover in case there was. So I'll start through some of the old business that when the people get here, what time are they supposed to be here, Wayne?
Well, they know that it's at 5 o'clock.
Okay, so we'll stop the old business discussion, and when they get here, we'll switch over to Lincoln Street. That'll go to you, Tom?
Yep.
Okay, so first thing on the old business is water rates revenue.
So when Chatter and Howard come in next, then I told them to come in the next meeting because I am assuming that the contractors are here this one, so I figured that one might drag out. So rather than have two big things happening at the same time, I told them to come next week. So that way they'll have more time to be more prepared to speak to the filters and all the projects.
Okay. You have any stuff, do you have anything to add on that?
One more time, and I'll sign that.
So, speaking with Chatter and Howard, they were gonna come in this meeting, but I knew the developer was supposed to be here. So I told them not to come this one, to come to the next meeting, that way we didn't have two big things. I don't wanna be here until 9 o'clock at night. I like the place, but,
And what was Tanner and Howard coming for?
they'll speak to all the projects, but they should speak to the rate, or what they've figured for a rate thing, and then talk to you about the filters, what they might be using or choosing for a media up at Manley Street, their thoughts on the biological filtration for down in this
Alright, so
area.
totally separate from the Lincoln Street project.
Right, it has nothing to do with Lincoln Street at all.
No, that was just about the water rates and revenue. That's what that was about.
We're like skimming the surface, it'll be hard to tell. I look at the production lines, so. We'll see in the next quarter, which will come out in November, it's coming up.
What's going on with stations 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Alright, so we'll cover, so 1, 2, and 4, so I believe that I just saw a rate schedule. I think they're gonna bid out the electrical portion of the, job because the DEP is not moving on approval for construction for the well, so I think they're gonna bid out the variable frequency drive parts of it and doing the electrical part.
For which station?
Station 4, which I hope that they don't take down too long, but. So I know they're moving on that. On Station 3, Manly tested high for PFAS in August. It was 20.9, which rounds up to 21, which is over 20. By the time I had the results, and I had already sampled for September, so in talks with Mass DEP, it was decided to wait for the September results rather than send multiple duplicate mailings and confuse the public. September was 22.2, which rounds to a 22. That puts our quarterly average at 20.7, which rounds to a 21, and that made us a MCL violation for PFAS. That triggers a 30-day notification to the public. So on your desk you have parts of what I've printed out. So in talks with, so at that choice you have the choice to shut down Manley Street and you end the violation, or in our case we can't shut down Manley because we need the water source. So you have to then provide another potable water source, or you supply bottled water. So a lot of towns are opting to supply potable water sources. My thoughts are to run the water line out and come out through the middle of the garage. There's an open roof drain that's not used anymore. Put a basin sink right above it so it drains straight into it, and put the spigot straight out the side of the garage. There's your potable water source.
Now, would they allow that where we're just taking it from the distribution
Yes,
system?
because this test, it's under the MCL, so
Yeah.
this is,
Right above.
it's not PFAS free, but it is considered potable. It's within every parameter known to
Yeah,
mankind.
we're like right around 10.
Yeah, or under, we're way under here. I think I wanna say 6 was like the highest number I'd seen
Yeah.
in any of these stations.
Try
And that
Manley
20,
Street up, I wonder. What
There's
is it
gotta
that's
be
up
something
there?
up that way that it's getting in from some, maybe, I don't know.
they asked too, they asked what is up there that could come, and when I look, the only thing I can think is, I hate that, there's a construction firm that stockpiles dirt back there up towards Burke Drive. I have no idea, and I know at one time near the car rental place in that, I forget the name of that street off the
Vital
west, yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There was sewerage, somebody was stacking dirt in there at one time too. So,
If you think the PFAS is coming from dirt,
well, I don't know where it's coming from. In
And it
Brockton Sewer had leaks in their system at times, so you can't tell. But,
being along 24, I would think stormwater runoff would be as big a part of anything.
well, that's as long as you just mentioned that. So, the town and the state are killing us with sodium, so we may want to back up and tell Tatter and Howard to look to treat for sodium. So, Manley Street has exceeded the secondary MCL for sodium. It's a secondary, so it's non-enforceable, but Manley Street has risen and so have these ones. So these ones are directly affected by the town, not by the
24
state.
is the one that kills us.
Right.
24 is,
24 is killing us. And I don't-
Although they do use salt, nothing but salt, so all the stuff that's putting on Manley
Right.
Street and all the roads off of there is getting in there too,
Yep.
so.
I wouldn't even worry about the salt.
So if it ever becomes enforceable, then, well, what I've seen in the past is the water department, if they're not part of the town, turns around and sues the town and the
Until
state.
they make salt
They
shakers
treat it.
illegal on the kitchen table, then, water doesn't even come anywhere near what you get.
No, but like everything else with water, all it has to be, if there's something in it, they look for you to take
Right,
it out.
and, like the 20 MCL, it says in the
How you gonna get
notification,
salt out?
it's a lifetime.
Reverse
thing.
osmosis
It's
is the
not.
only treatment I know of. It costs a fortune. How would you get salt out?
I'm not sure whether it's airstripped, I'd have to look.
Reverse osmosis is the only
I
system
don't
I
know,
have.
that's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, that,
And it creates a waste stream.
but the thing is, once it comes out that it's high, if we at least have a quickie answer of what would it take to do it from, because we're gonna be expanding the Manley plant eventually.
Right.
Whether this thing works or not, to get us going by, we're
Right.
probably gonna have to do something long-term out there. We find out what it would be as part of that.
Right. Their
If it's
thought
too
was-
much money, we just don't do it.
Their thought was the bed life, they're gonna calculate the bed life and see what the bed life is like a year or two, then you can slow down a little on your plant expansion, you have time to generate
Yeah.
some revenue and pay for it. If it's quick, well, then everything has to move faster, and
Yeah. But if this seems like it's starting to slowly climb, but before it was
Right.
bouncing back and forth, so if it's gonna keep climbing, we
yeah.
gotta do something to get us.
Right, we're not as bad as sometimes like the things that because I got samples to look at as I was generating that, and they were like in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, yeah. No, we're just there, but.
Right,
Have you looked at the way the water flows to the Manley Street well?
well, it said when I looked at the pictures, it comes down from, like, it's from
Well, we get it
24 towards
We get it
Brookline.
below, there's a layer of clay, there's gravel for the first 40 feet or so, or something like that. Then there's a layer of clay, and then there's gravel underneath that. We're getting it from the second layer of gravel. And they say that river, even though the well's in the river, when it floods, it doesn't contribute water to the well, because that layer of clay cuts it off. And from what I understood, most of the water that's in the gravel that's underneath the clay actually comes from underneath the parking lot up by Lowe's and up there and up on 106. We're not getting
The zone 2 barely gets into that part, though. That doesn't even,
but that's where they showed on the zone 2, that's where they showed the water was flowing to that well was,
well, in the zone 2, it goes from basically down by my house,
Right.
follows along like the brook on that side, goes up, I think, a little further into Brockton, and then when it goes up the other end, it kind of does this, there's like a chunk of it that goes around Lowe's, but then it seems like it stops pulling in.
yeah, well, I
Right
think what happened is it got to the backside of Lowe's, from the backside, that the water is flowing the other way. It's going back into the Hockomock Swamp. From the parking lot area, it's going down the hill, down gradient toward us. So, I don't know, you know, that level is so high in that one well. We're gonna be something that got in up there on 106 or something, I don't know.
I mean, could be stuff that got in up off of 24 from firefighting, car fires and stuff like that. There's all kinds of things that could have come from. And now sometimes septics get punched through the clay layer. So if you have big septics going in around town that are getting punched down in through, that water's gonna get down into the aquifer now. It's not gonna stay in the clay layer and stay above. So I don't know if we ever. It's not like you can trace it probably to one
No.
source. This stuff's in everything.
You got a lot going on up there compared to here.
Yeah.
yeah.
So. The, in the letter, this letter go out already?
No, that's, so we have to find a potable water source to give them first.
Okay, well, because you had written in here about doing it inside the garage.
Well, not inside, it's outside. It's-
Okay, this one makes it sound like, just reading it, it sounded like it was inside.
I'll make sure it specifies outside, but I have to,
It's been a
unless you
long
know
day.
someplace else that, you
You
can't
think
say,
we'll have
no, I
people
like what
coming
you're
down to
saying.
get water?
well, if you handed out bottled water, every resident in town will come. But somebody will come, you know, some people have, everybody takes things differently than we do. If your acceptance for risks, you can slip in the shower more frequently and die
Yeah.
than anything else, so it's,
No, but we make, and I think that's what's been happening though, is the first few that were real high,
right,
were doing the bottled water and it goes insane.
right.
And then I think that, was it Easton, I think's done?
They have, I think they're using a vending machine or something.
Yeah, but it's their, it's not water
Right.
being brought in, it's their water,
Yeah.
and they run it through a machine like they have up at, AZAC's.
Right, it's just that we can't, it's coming on winter time, so now you have to prevent slips, trips and falls and everything else, it's
Yeah.
not,
Oh, that's why that's good, you go right into the drain.
right. It was there, it's a quick and easy, we can run the copper pipe across and get the spigot out there.
Frost free so we don't blow up.
Right, yep. and then I'll just slow the flow. I'm trying to see if I can find a spring-loaded frost-free one that I could put in there. I haven't found one yet. I'm just
So
afraid
you're
on
like
a
a
weekend.
dead man, so it shuts
Yeah,
itself
I'm
off.
afraid that on a weekend, somebody's gonna come by and go. So I can slow the flow going to it too.
So we'll have to leave the gate open all up 7 days a week?
Well, I'm gonna ask him about that, how much time I have to give accessibility to, because I prefer that it was just 7 to 2, Monday through Friday, and then, but if they say that I have to do it more than that, then we'd have to leave the gate open, and I don't really
I
like
hope they don't
that.
make us have handicap parking for this thing.
Well, that's why it's almost can't,
They're always good on the outside of town hall, we could have them go and fill them up. Town
yeah,
hall's-
but it's not, it's up in the shrubs, it's,
The town hall's probably far enough in this direction that they're at least getting enough of a mix that it'd be below the town.
right. Yeah, it would be, it's just, they don't have a spigot sticking out there, and
Okay.
And because you've got to prevent slips and trips and falls, if I put a yard hydrant somewhere,
Yeah.
it's still, it's gotta be above a drain.
How about an update on the replacement well?
So those, like I said, I saw the thing come through for prevailing rate wages. I haven't looked at it yet, I like to dream every now and then when I look at their pay scales. But I know that they're bidding out getting ready to bid out the electrical portion of it. But they can't do the rest, is still waiting on Mass DEP for approvals for construction.
How about the asset management grant?
Now, that's because they were at the rate study part of it, and once again, they'll speak to that when they come in next week. Or next meeting, not next week, 2 weeks from now.
Couple of guys just came down.
What's up with the Walnut Street tank?
It's ready, we just have to fund it, so,
Just waiting for money.
yep.
Gee, that's all. How you doing, Jimmy?
How you doing?
Good.
No, Jimmy?
Vacant principal clerk's position. You want to speak on that, Carrie?
Sure. Tomorrow, Linda and I are meeting for potential candidates. So whoever we like, I'll see if they'll come to the next meeting.
Jimmy, just grab one of those chairs there. Sit any way you want.
Well, we should pick one to sit behind the camera.
So you're gonna start your interviews and then,
We picked 4, so they'll come in tomorrow and then whoever, however many we think, either 2 or 3. I'll see if they are available to come to the next meeting to meet you guys, to see what you think.
4 out of how many did you get?
79, I think.
how many?
Well, I picked 13 that had like secretarial background.
Did she say 79?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then out of those 13, 4 of them are still looking for a job. So.
You should have a decent shot then of getting somebody that will
Yeah,
work.
definitely.
You got anything, Tom, on that subject?
Nope.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is the Lincoln Street project, but seeing they're not here, we'll skip over all the Eddie Medeiros isn't here either, so. Is he coming in?
He wants to keep it on the agenda, he's thinking it over. When he calls again to get on the agenda, I'll have another discussion with him.
Okay.
So we're not actually expecting him here tonight?
No,
He just
What-
didn't keep his name on the
What caused the dispute from 2017? I thought he was all set.
no, he looks back and he just sees a couple of large numbers, so we're on camera. But we had done some things with him where we appeared early in the morning, and we found, like 5 in the morning, I brought everybody in and we looked at his meter, and it was still spinning highly fast. So we did a drive through the park with a diesel truck, and amazingly, we should have taken note where we were, When the truck got to a certain spot in the park, the meter stopped.
So,
I don't think Ed remembers that, but I do, and so do all my guys.
Yeah.
so it was in the, coming from a trailer?
Looking at the cameras, I just know that we got to a certain spot and the meter stopped. And I know that he's had a huge turnover in the park. If you go in, there's a lot of new trailers in there, and his bills have come way down, so I think some people have turned over in there.
That we're running a lot of water.
Yeah,
So he got rid of a lot of thirsty people.
I think so.
But there's not, it's a fairly new meter now, isn't it?
Yeah, when we do the billing for November, I'm gonna have him change that meter, because I'm thinking it's old and where we already wore one out. Rather than wait for it to wear out again, that was his concern, that right about the time that he was getting high bills, the meter also died. But when the
How
meter
old's that
died,
meter? I thought we changed that not long ago.
so that's the first time I've ever seen a meter.
Well, the problem what they're
Yeah.
telling me, those meters are built like for a house, and they say they go through
Right.
1 million gallons.
I thought we had one big meter going in there.
No, it's but
What-
so
what
it's
do we
a
put
fire
in it?
rated, it's a fire flow meter. I'll show you the one
There's
for,
a fire flow meter for fire flow,
Right.
and then there's a meter,
a
a
side.
little, like a
bypass.
1-inch meter
Yeah.
on a
Right,
bypass.
it should have been an
But
inch and a half.
99% of the time, the water goes through that one. And so, say in a year, you put more water through than a person would put through it in a lifetime.
Right, right. Oh, so we're only using a 1-inch meter then?
Right,
Yeah,
but for the amount of trailers he had, it should have been, but for the volume that he was using, it should have been upsized to an inch and a half, but it's part of the integral part of the meter, so you can't just change it out like that.
right. And the fire flow meter would have a heavy spring on it, and if they open the hydrant, then the flaps will open, and it'll go through the fire flow
So
meter.
wouldn't he be gaining free water if it goes through?
Yes, and he's having a hard time understanding that they kept telling him they're positive displacements, they can't spin on their own, and when it breaks, the magnet inside drives the magnetic coupling to the other part, it's not turning anymore, it can't turn.
If anything, they under-register.
Right, if anything, yeah, we have,
It's always in the customer's favor.
right, we had 2 or 3 billing periods where he didn't get charged any excess because the meter was broken. And it was between billing periods, so we didn't know. That's why we went to monthly, we read it monthly now to make sure we're on top of it.
And you're thinking of changing that out?
Yeah, and just for good faith, we'll change it out and make it new again.
Can you fit 1.5 inches into there?
No, because it's physically, you buy it that way, it's sized to it.
Okay.
The bypass isn't big enough
Right.
to take that big a meter.
And truly, at this point, his usage is down.
So the inch is
Yeah,
okay for it?
yeah.
It'd probably just be a good idea on a big customer like that. The meters aren't that expensive, just throw a new one in there on an annual basis, you know?
Right.
When does that letter have to go out?
So they haven't officially accepted my, the numbers that I sent into them. So, but it's a 30-day timeline, so I don't know whether they're gonna jump back to September or it'll be from the date that they accept my letter. It's still up in the air, so that's why I've been spending my time making sure that that's done and ready, and that you guys accept where I wanna put the basin and give them a potable water supply, and then it's just working through what they accept for hours.
Yeah.
And then then it would be all done and it's ready to be mailed. You know, we can mail it within less than a week's time.
Well, Jimmy's here, on the Lincoln Street warehouse, so we don't have the people who are gonna be engineers or the people who are gonna be actually owning it here, but I guess we could discuss it amongst ourselves, to what's going on up there. So I met with Jimmy and David Gagney and Wayne, we got together to discuss the project. And it appears that the original plan that was, everybody had seen, the water main that they were proposing went at least 2/3 of the way down Lincoln Street to the end of their property. But now it looks like they've gone from West Street down Crescent Street and then through where Howard Dempsey's house is, 'cause I guess they're purchasing that, tearing it down. And then right at the end of where that water main and that street would enter the old Lincoln Street, they're going straight across into their property and looping the water main around the building. Nobody understands where the water main went that was supposed to go down the street for the rest of Lincoln Street. So it was suggested that the moratorium the town has on Lincoln Street is why they changed it. But they've also agreed to put a sidewalk, I guess, down the opposite side of the road, which would be the left side going down from 106, which we thought they could very easily put the water main right in that sidewalk without disturbing the street. And it would also help Wayne turn those houses over to the 12-inch main because he doesn't have to cross the street at all. They'll all be on the same side of the road. So personally, I think that they ought to bring the water main at least as far as their property goes, which is about to where the greenhouses were, if not all the way down and connected into the 12-inch that was left off, coming off of Scotland Street down there. Because that's gonna help feed that whole new project and everything down there. It'll also help the warehouse because it'll give them water flow on Lincoln Street in two directions. It'll give them from the 8-inch coming up South Main Street, South Elm Street, coming up South Elm up the 8-inch, and that's tied into the 12, which will then feed their building. Plus they're they're going back to West Street, which is tied into the 16.
All right, so in an email from Rich, no one's coming.
No one's coming?
Oh, they just told you that?
Yep, and until you accept their present water design.
Well, they have not come in to present us with their current water design, so they're not gonna get it approved.
Yeah.
All right,
What stage are they at with approval with the town?
They have the site plan approval, and that's about it.
Is that already approved?
Yeah, that was approved, I wanna say June, July, somewhere around there.
Who did site plan approval? Planning board?
Planning board, yeah.
so is that the original?
Yeah, but I had to recuse myself from that one.
So I forget, are you reviewing the project for the town?
Yeah, so our contract's with the Board of Selectmen. So,
The company you work for?
right,
I see.
right, yeah,
Was hired by the Board of Selectmen
yep,
as a peer review for?
right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Mostly for the off-site work, and.
The offsite, meaning the intersection?
Yeah, they're putting in signals that, they're relocating Lincoln Street, that's why they're taking Dempsey's house down.
Yeah,
So Lincoln Street will be four-way with Crescent Street at that point.
right, I had heard that.
Yeah, and then, they'll be widening 106, I'm still debating back and forth, but it's for mostly that part. And I told them from, back in May or June that I wasn't reviewing the water, because I got the basics, when I saw it, was, told them, yeah, you need all the services, this, that, and everything else, but they needed to go through you guys, because that's not part of what we do.
And they've never come to see us at all, have they?
No.
Only
Yeah,
Larry Silver
Larry
came.
Silver came, because he did that first plan that we saw,
Right.
and he's the one that came in. He brought in, I don't think anybody came in with him. the developer, did they? It was supposed to
No,
be
I
by
think it was
himself?
just him.
And he went through, and that's the plan that had the water main going down the street.
Right.
Is Larry still doing the site design for the project?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen him at meetings, so he's still doing something with it, but there's like multiple firms, they're all, I don't think they're communicating too well with each other, and they all have their own piece that they're working on.
So explain what you said earlier, they said they're not coming to this meeting until we accept their,
So I don't get it wrong, we do not have anyone scheduled to be at the commission this evening, and as per my previous conversation with Rick copied, we didn't want to show up until we knew the commission was okay with the overall plan / scope, etc.
and what is the plan now? Do we have a copy of the current plan?
That's what I'm just showing you right now, that's, which I can bring it up in a different format, but they're basically turning in.
See where the road comes down?
So
it's
Larry
on the
did
top.
redo that
That
plan.
goes
so he's
across the
still
street,
involved.
right in the
Yeah,
property.
actually, that's his company.
And so everybody involved knows that we want it to go down the road at this point?
Right, so the original plan that, the planning board accepted, that was the one where the water line was going down.
Right, yep,
So they haven't approved another plan where it's turning yet,
Well,
right.
but they don't have any issues.
they haven't,
Yeah.
they haven't approached us about approval of, I don't remember discussing with
No, they've
Silver
not
or
come
anything,
in.
any
No, I
water
haven't.
gates or anything else,
No,
or where it's all being
all
tied
that
in.
came in is he came in and he showed us it was gonna be coming down the street going past it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
I
all.
don't remember.
Well, I do remember you speaking,
Did you see him here in this meeting?
Yeah, he came into
Yeah,
our
he did come
meeting,
in.
he brought a plan like that, except
Yeah.
it had the line going right down the street, right past it. He
right,
mentioned about wanting to have it extended further down,
yep.
and he kinda, I don't know
Said,
about
well,
that.
I remember,
Right.
yeah, I think.
He
I
said
Okay.
that would be something you
That
discuss
it was
with them.
something to go with the developer, but the
Right.
line was going down the road. It wasn't going in there. They haven't come in and given us anything different than what Larry came in and presented. We're happy with their plan. Their plan's going down the street. If they wanna come in and try to change it, they have to come in and go over it with us.
Right.
And I don't think any of us are in the mood to approve it.
Well,
Like this.
Yeah, like
I like
this.
that. Tell them, somebody, I think we should just send them, send them back an email, and tell them that the water commissioners haven't approved any plan for any water main extension. They need to come in and discuss it with us, and, we'll tell them what they gotta do.
Can we find the minutes from that meeting when Larry came in?
Yeah, it can't be that far back.
I thought it was over, wasn't it like June or July?
Yeah.
This summer?
Yeah, it wasn't that
Yeah,
long.
it wasn't
Yeah,
all
because this
that
project is really fast tracked. It's not, it's
Was it right
moving really
before-
fast.
It was right after this town meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah, not too
When he-
long
'cause
after.
He was, when he did the presentation for it at the town meeting, pretty soon after that.
Okay, so if you could find the minutes from that meeting, and Kerry, can you send
I'll
a
email
copy of it to
Yeah.
all of us in an email? So we can
Probably still
review
have a
it.
copy of that plan here, wouldn't we, Wayne? Because I think he left us a plan.
Yeah, I've been looking, and I can't find any of the emails, so I've been trying to clean up my 500 something emails.
When are they looking to start this project? Do you know, Jimmy?
I don't know any longer. Honestly, they wanted to, originally when they met with the planning board, or even, geez, about a month or two ago, they were talking about having the building up and open next June. But they've run into a snag with MIPA now, and they have to go through the environmental process, so they're probably a good 18 months out at least now.
Before they start?
Or if
No,
they have to
they'll
go to
probably
Viva.
start, can't really start until they get through the MIPA process, so they're probably another 6 months away.
Another 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good.
Well, the site plan approval by the planning board has nothing to do with the water main, so we gotta get that straightened out, because that's gonna, they own that whole strip going down there, and there isn't a water main on that road right now that's gonna support that building. And they're gonna leave it up to us to, under prevailing wages, to lay a water main down that street for them.
This isn't what planning board approved. And did we send comments to the planning board when they were doing the site plan review?
We
No,
were never asked to, I don't think.
I think they were doing, I'm trying to remember now. Larry came in, was it while they were at the planning board?
it was probably close, but like, planning board will always defer to us and say that they need to meet with us.
But when there's a site plan review, we can give them our comments and say what we'd like to see
Right,
as far as the water main.
Well, at that point, I mean, the water main was going down.
Was going
Yeah.
down.
Lincoln
right,
Street,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was coming in, not that driveway, there's two others below that or to the south of that. So, they were going about 2/3 of the way down Lincoln Street with a 12-inch.
So technically, it's a significant change in the site plan.
Yeah, I don't know, you'd
I
have
wonder
to.
if it should be, if it can be held up at the site plan review process.
Yeah, whether they'd have to go back, I mean, they do have the approval, they might have to go back for modification, I don't know if that's, yeah, because, you know, like you said, water's under your purview, not the planning board, so.
We should probably reach out to the planning board anyway and let them know it's a significant change and what we want to see is now been changed on the site plan.
So,
But this
when they
isn't
actually
one-
approved it, or did it look like that?
Was this modification approved by the planning board?
On the,
no, it didn't look like that.
No, it showed, and actually, it only showed on one sheet, it showed from the southerly, whatever the southerly driveway was, it just showed, it said 1,250 feet of 12-inch water, and that was it. No services, no hydrants, no anything. And I've been saying since probably June that, hey, you guys have to develop an entire water main plan, you know, and McMahon, you know, who's doing the offsites, they were, well, that's not part of our, you know, we're stopping right at, you know, the limit, pretty much at Dempsey's
They're
driveway.
basically doing the intersection, not the site work. for the
Right,
building.
right, so they were saying that wasn't their, you know, and I was basically like, hey, you've gotta have somebody design this thing and run it through, because it doesn't show, you know, if you put in a 12-inch main, you've got all the houses on that route and water hydrants and whatnot, so.
How much piping is getting changed in the intersection? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, they're coming
the whole
from,
thing?
yeah.
So
they're
it's
coming
gonna be
from
all
West
new
Street.
in the intersection?
Yep,
Yep.
it's going from West Street, they're connecting at West Street, go down 106 to where they've got the relocated
They're
Lincoln
gonna,
Street.
they're gonna eliminate the 6-inch that's in there,
Okay.
and then they're gonna tie back into it up by the intersection.
If that project stops, once it gets, ties back into Lincoln Street, I take it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the end of their scope of work.
Yeah, that's where we're trying to get the apartment building people.
Also,
Oh, yeah, we discussed that with David Gagny, that, you know, the 40B.
Right, they need to get tied in while this is
They
going
need-
on.
Right, and if they put a moratorium on that intersection and then they wanna build it, they're not gonna be able to get the sprinkler system in there that they're gonna need. So we suggested that David's gotta write a letter to them and say that they should get involved and extend the 12 down, you know, 100 feet or whatever it's gonna take to hit their property so that they can, and put a stub off and get it in there so that if they're gonna go forward with their project, within their 5 years, they won't have to cut the street. They won't be looking for a road opening permit.
Well, at some point, they need a water department sign off for the building permit.
Yeah, they haven't come and, nobody's heard from them now in a while either. So I know David has written a letter, but I don't have time to look at it yet, and I might by the end of the week get to look at it.
Who do you write the letter to?
I'm not sure, because I haven't opened it up yet to look at
it's
it.
the
The
developer.
owner of,
To the owner of the project?
Yeah, well, the honey
40B.
did, who owns that
Oh,
property.
no, I'm sorry, I'm talking about this project on
Oh,
Lincoln Street.
no, not this one. He's to the apartment complex people.
No, he's just kind of putting them on notice that this project is going forward. And when they finish it, they blacktop it, they're not gonna be able to cut that street for 5 years. So they may wanna get an engineer involved in it and extend that main at the same time that this project's going on. Because when the blacktop gets put down, you know, it's done. So, but they don't have to, but if they want them, they, you know, they want to
So I'm still not clear where we're at with this project. Will they come in and see us, or they?
If they don't come in and see us, they're not
They can't
cutting in
tie
and
in.
connecting to our water main, so they
Right.
better come in
Right.
and see us.
I've never
They
seen a
can't.
project like this where they wouldn't come in and talk to you.
Yeah, and like I said, there's so many players in the game, but
Well, I think
we'll
that
be told, I'll send them back an email
If
once
they-
I find the minutes.
they figure if they don't show up, then and they got a plan like that, and they've got a plan they got approval from the planning board, they probably think, well, hey, we got away with,
Well, I don't-
another half a water main.
I don't think it was like that. He sounded more pissed off because like I said, he said moratorium so many times in that meeting that I was just about to look it up because I'm like, I know I've heard that word. What does that mean? And I'm like, and that's when they handed out the plans and I'm like, oh, now I know what he's talking about.
I think they took a look at that expense. They were like, well, we don't wanna have to mill and overlay that road, let's take a
Right.
shortcut.
Yep.
If,
That moratorium, it must be almost up.
yeah, it's up like June or July of next year, and again, 2 months ago, they were looking at that going, wow, that's gonna stop our development because we wanna be, pretty much have the building up next June.
Yeah.
But, I don't think anybody's really, I don't think they've looked at the numbers and said, okay, let's go down the sidewalk and maybe, just suggesting, and maybe that's something that, have them consider.
I drove down there the other day just to take a look at it, and that left-hand side of the road has, between the houses, like in the stone walls and stuff, there's a huge grass area. It'd be a very easy run to put that main down through there.
Yeah, it's gotta be 15
Water
feet.
room.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do a sidewalk over there anyway, you put the pipe down
Right.
Yeah,
Then
and
put
the only
sidewalk
place,
over.
they'd still have to cut the road because they'd have to get across into their property, but.
Right.
Yeah,
So Jimmy,
they
you're
have to-
basically
they
dealing
have
with
to
the
make one
intersection
cut.
people, not.
Yeah.
But then when Wayne ties over
You're
the
basically
houses
dealing with the
in,
intersection
Yeah,
people.
he doesn't have to.
and
Not
the
the-
other water
not the
main on
owner
the
of
other
the
side of
warehouse
the road.
project.
Yeah.
Sidewalk.
We
project,
just
yeah, we're,
cut that one
sidewalk
off.
is part of the
And
condition.
he could
so
just tap them over
kind
to
of
the
involved in
wall.
that.
Well, he's only just
You're
gonna
supposed to put a
go
sidewalk.
down
all the way
and
down
just move
southbound.
the water line over.
Yeah, you
Tubes
don't have
all the way to
do any
Southbound.
Yeah,
Paving or cutting or
No.
any of that.
Just
It'll work
fix the
great with the water
sidewalk.
main under.
yeah. Well, that's what we were thinking of, and they don't have to, the only time they have to cut the road. I know there's 3 houses and then, yeah, they're building.
And you've mentioned it to them, and
We have actually. I know they were doing, see, that was the other part, as part of the TIF agreement, they were supposed to put the sidewalk down to South Elm Street. They hadn't done any survey yet. From what I understand, they have the survey now, but I haven't seen anything with the sidewalks. We've mentioned it possibly going down there, but I don't think they've looked at that in any, I don't think they've looked at it in any detail. I do know, and, I know he's been hounding Wayne about this too, they're looking to see how much their connection
fees are gonna be,
Yeah.
well, they need to come in and see us.
Yep. I told
Who
him-
do we call, who's the contact person?
All I have is that Rich Hotline guy. I don't know anybody else.
And who is he?
I,
He's the developer, DeBartolo Company's doing this
Yeah.
development.
yeah, DeBartolo.
But he's in California.
And he's the developer?
Yeah,
The owner, developer?
yep,
Yeah, he called me one night, was right after our meeting, and, yeah, you said he was calling from California.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
that was the first conversation I ever had with the guy, but,
They own a football team out there.
They own a football team?
They can afford to put the water main where we want the water main to be.
Well, the TIF agreement helps them afford it too, doesn't it?
Well, with typically, if they're gonna do all that anyway, then the sidewalk and whatnot,
well,
digging it up, it's not gonna cost, it's not even like it's more pipe for them really, because instead of running, they're still gonna end up running
okay,
most of that distance.
I'm gonna make a motion that we take a vote. The motion will be to disapprove the water main as we see it on the set of plans. And after the vote, we'll send a letter to the planning board and to the board of selectmen that we disapprove the water main the way we see it in these plans. And waiting to meet with the contractor to discuss another revised plan.
What if we send it to the developer also?
Sure.
I mean, technically, they even submitted this to us for approval.
No, I just keep getting bits and pieces here and there, and emails and PDFs and, you know, things you can't see, except until you blow them up when you're trying to move them around the screen. It's
Do we
not-
have Larry's original plan?
I have looked, I haven't been able to find it, and
I'm pretty sure he left us a set.
I know.
Be interested to find those
I'll
minutes,
look
because I really don't remember.
We should find what we have, the plan, the minutes, and maybe talk to Larry Silva, make it clear. So it sounds like he's doing the site plan for the project, is that correct?
Once again, I don't know who's,
I
that's not
remember-
who I get bits and pieces of connections from, though. It's some Dimitri guy or somebody.
When he was in here, though, he did say there were a bunch of different people involved in different parts. He was just here to give us like the heads up on what was being proposed.
For water.
And that wasn't even a formal, like, submission for
No.
approval, but
Well, that's no good. That's no good for an approval.
well, no, but he wasn't here to ask for an approval necessarily, but the plan we
I
discussed.
mean, I like to look at the intersections and see where the gates are gonna go and, you know, how they're gonna tie into the old six and eliminate the water main, and what happens to the customers that are tied into
And
it.
we may wanna have Tater and Howard review it,
Good.
the layout.
But
Under
regardless,
their
they
expense.
owe us a set of plans that shows us the connections in the street, shows us where the pipe goes down South Elm,
So,
Lincoln Street, all of that for submittal to us to review and approve, and they need to come in here to get, we're not gonna consider a connection fee till we know we're gonna approve a connection, right?
And we should say it and have our engineer approve it, or review it.
I mean, for that, I don't, well, thing is, what would we necessarily have them review? I think between Wayne and us, we can figure out if the connections.
I would think we could, but I mean,
Yeah, they're not gonna use a lot of water, because it's a warehouse, unless,
It's mostly for the fires. they need
right, it's just for
connection
fire
sites.
flow.
And that's their engineer has to is responsible for making
Right.
sure the fire system works. It's
how
more
they're
that
connected into whatever's existing.
Well, it's more that we're happy with how they make the connections and that stuff. So I don't see where that necessarily need to go in a data or how. Plus then that time, you know, we want them concentrating on other things.
so I got a motion on there not to approve this set of plans for the water main.
Yeah, I almost don't want to even say that
I don't
because
want
it
to say
hasn't been
approve.
submitted to us.
Nobody's even asked us to approve anything.
And we haven't, maybe instead of sending something not approving, say, to the planning board and whoever, the developer, that we still need to have a set of plans submitted to us showing the connections, showing, you know, everything to do with the water system for our review and approval. And as far as we're concerned, the original set, whatever the date Larry came in on, what we saw with the pipe going down Lincoln Street is the basis for our review.
If you can't find it.
This is just something somebody sent us into, basically bits and pieces from internal stuff.
Right.
Nobody's come in, nobody's officially sent to the water department.
If you can't find Larry's plan, call him and get a copy of that original plan.
Yeah.
I think when we left David Gagné the other night, he was in agreement that there would be no road opening permits or anything granted on this project for tying into the water main until he gets.
No permits issued by the town until
Yeah.
we review the water. Right. We should,
I just wanna make sure that the planning board, we never see anybody, and, you know, it's no real communication. I just wanna make sure that they realize that we just don't know that much about what's going on here.
and see if the planning board has to, you know, amend the review where they've changed so much. And we can give them comments, that's why they send out 17 copies of everything to every board, so you could give the, you know, the permit
This
granting
isn't
authority.
on their copy though,
No, they,
right? What's shown there isn't on the
Right.
stuff that they had, because that was back, June, July, or something like
Yeah,
that.
somewhere around there, June or July. But yeah, this definitely wasn't on theirs. They had the old one.
So the planning board must have that original one.
yeah, they probably have a copy. I can ask Hugh if he has a copy of the PDF, because most of it's all
I have one.
PDFs.
You have one?
Yeah, I can send a PDF.
It'd be interesting if, next time, if they're gonna come in, be interested, Jimmy, if you could bring that with you.
Yeah.
Bring the original one, so we have it here. Is Wayne can't find his, but if you got one, that'd be good.
Yeah, like I said, it was only shown on one sheet.
Okay.
That was.
But I mean, that's the only, proposal that we had even, you know, looked at.
And that was just an informational
Yeah, it was an
meeting.
informational meeting, this is what we're gonna do, it wasn't a formal submittal to approve anything. But it's the basis that we have, and this is not close. So actually, if you're gonna ask, if you're gonna call you and ask them, mention to them that, about the change and see if they know
Yeah.
this is even going on, if they wanna.
You're on the
Take
planning
another
too,
look.
planning board too, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
So, how often do you meet?
First and third Wednesdays.
First and third? When you meet again,
So-
at your next meeting, can you bring the board up? And let them know,
Well,
you know,
He
what's
might not
going
be
on?
able to.
what-
Yeah.
if you can,
Walking up by
No,
line sometimes.
I'll send an email at you.
Just
Yeah,
a
but Wayne can deal with you. And that'll,
Yeah,
yeah, because you can't, you gotta keep yourself
Yeah.
separate from that for the planning board.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And then, yeah, just that email with, that you got, just respond to it with, sorry, you have to come in with,
Yeah,
all right, as long as everybody's aware.
well,
Mr.
nobody's
Gagnon
cutting any
knows,
pipe
make sure
until
planning
they-
board
yeah,
you
knows.
guys accept it, it's not. Nobody tying in, nobody doing nothing.
Is the sidewalk a definite?
I've heard the
yeah,
sidewalk
it's a
repeatedly.
requirement of the program. That's it, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it was just a question of which side of the road it would go down, but the utility poles are all on, it's going south, they're all on the right side, so it just makes more sense putting
To
Oh,
go
it
on
on
the
the
left
left,
side.
yeah.
Instead of spending 2 years with the utility poles in the sidewalk until they move them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a good strip there. It's wide, it's not,
Yeah, no,
They go-
it looks like there's a decent amount of room in that road when you drive down it for sidewalks.
I don't know what the town owns, but it looks like there's a big grass strip there. Most of the houses are set back pretty good.
It's a 60-foot right-of-way, and the road's only like 24 feet, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
60 foot, right?
60 foot, yeah.
Wow, it's big.
Wow.
60? Maybe it's 50, but there's still
Still,
plenty
it's
of.
still-
Yeah, there's still like
yeah.
13 feet on both sides if it's 50,
Wow. That's excellent.
yeah.
Plenty of room for a water main.
Yeah.
You only need a foot plus a couple inches on either side.
Okay, has anybody else got anything that they want to bring up?
Yeah, continuing on this discussion only, the coliform hit we took back in August, so we're under a time constraint for that, for
Thanks for coming in, Jim.
corrective
Thanks, Jimmy.
actions. For out of the 33-page level 2 report I did, which is coming up in November, we're hoping to go out and, we have an area where it's always low chlorine residual, even though we get high residuals everywhere else, which happens to be my house, John Cruz's house, and the tanks. So we're gonna go out, and I think we have like 20+ gates that we're gonna operate to see if they're all in the correct position. So we're gonna walk around Upper Spring Street and around through Progressive Ave and Brooks Place, Sunset, and Hillside? No, it's not Hillside. It's Sunset. Sunset?
Oh.
Hill, High Street.
Highland Ave,
Yeah,
Highland Ave.
so we're gonna walk around, make sure that the gates are all open, because when they flushed before, I've been in my house and saw the water diminish greatly out of my faucet, so you figure something's, might be in the wrong position.
Well, in that area, you would tend to get some older water anyway. When
Right, there's not a high rate of usage up there, you know?
Yeah, and when the tanks drop, you're getting some water that's
Right.
been in there for a while.
I can say that out of the new, when we're back in the old flushing program, I can smell chlorine more at my house in different places. It kind of works, and we found some extremely dirty areas that have taken almost 30, 45 minutes where they go back the next day to try to finish, that it's that bad. So the unidirectional isn't working. We should probably make our own unidirectional if I work with the guys, and we can come up with a better plan, so you know when you close things, you know what's happening. It's not hard to tell, like what we're about to do with Spring, Progressive, and Brooks Place. You shut one end and know that you're bringing it the other way. It's, you know, so when you can see what's happening, and their plan doesn't, it's never touched the issue that we had on Copeland Street, but what we did by unidirectional, and it did fix it.
By going back and forth a bunch of times.
Yeah. And they're gonna do that again before they finish the program. I told them, last night, you gotta go back and do that again. And we've done it a couple of times since then, just to stay on top of it.
And since you've been doing that, no complaints?
I haven't, but when I asked him directly, he goes, I don't have time to come, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just asking you, is your water better or not? And he wouldn't answer me.
Who's that?
Well, that house, I try not to say anybody's name, but he owns the tow place and repair place. John. A1.
Oh, okay, oh, yeah, yeah.
Because he wouldn't answer me, and I haven't seen his wife yet to bump into him, because I did knock on the door a few times, but nobody answered, and they probably weren't home, but
You think it's gotten better?
I think it's gotten a lot better, because we blew mud out of that. Like chunks, when it hit the street, you could see chunks of iron dropping out onto the street. So it did clean it up. There's just no movement. It's a high point. It's probably as high as the tanks when you get to Crescent and Copeland coming together.
We'll probably blast it out again at some point.
Yeah, well, that's what we have done, and we're gonna do before they finish the flushing program this season. And then the other thing, this is discussion only, but on the next meeting, I'm gonna have a vacation carryover request, so I have to have your feelings. I've got 18 days, but I really want to use my 18 days. It's not, I have a couple of things that I need to do, and I'm trying to squeeze them in between so I don't create more violations. I don't like to sit, so that's why you see that letter. It's ready to go. As soon as they tell me it's accepted,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be on it. I'm not waiting until the last day to mail something out. And that's the same with, we're gonna finish the other thing so I don't create another violation, but I'll have 18 days or less by the time we get to the next meeting. My thing comes up at the end of this month.
Oh, for your carryover?
Yeah. So if you're not feeling towards signing it, let me know now and I'll see you 2 months, and works for me. But I don't think you guys have an issue. Alright. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Tom? Anything?
Oh,
Carrie, the next meeting?
Monday, October 18th.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.